the burning question that's probably there on everyone's mind, it's there on my mind, that okay, if we have to go through the different stages, right? Walk us through, like, okay, where do you sense that AI is reasonably dependable? And as you mentioned, like, look, the cultural um, filtering is still not quite at that level, right? So help us to understand, where do you sense that AI can be relied dependably, right? And where should the human intervene, right? And the other follow-up question, which is the very obvious one, that are we in the process, as you gave the example of 2 year versus 10 year, right? Are we neglecting a potentially good candidate strictly on looking at the CV and the credentials? Oftentimes, because we've seen in our careers, right? Maybe there's someone who he doesn't have the top GPA or not from the top B school, but he still ends up becoming a very successful leader, right? So how do you address a bias strictly by, like, maybe words or language? So help us with a case study, or what do you sense of that?
Yeah. Um, Being completely forthright, I don't think that answer fully exists yet. I think a lot of recruiters out there are trying to automate the stuff that I talked about that we did with Alex. The sourcing, the outreach, and the initial engagement or pre-screening where they do the basic Q&A back and forth. That's been around for some time. I don't believe, although I know that most recruitment companies are automating that, I don't believe that that's necessarily the best place to utilize AI. I think the sourcing factor, for instance, as an example, AI for the most part would still take that 10-year Python person over the 2-year Python person. AI for the most part would not go out and analyze the LinkedIn comments and reactions and things that the person is engaging with. It's not gonna analyze their recommendations on LinkedIn. It's probably not gonna look at the company history in the same sort of way to understand that this person's company, they're not a hopper, but rather the company got bought by another company or whatever it is, right? It it still doesn't it has it, but it's still not it doesn't know how to use that level of intelligence. So I personally think while many recruitment companies are trying to automate the front end of that experience with a candidate and going to find them, I think right now we still need humans to give the thumbs up or the thumbs down and to give some guidance and some training. So a lot of the AI that we're trying to build is by doing that and helping build that. I think that
Sorry, please go ahead.
sorry, go ahead, Mikhail.
No, I was just going to ask you, have you seen companies where on that spectrum, like what's been working, and what are they trying and kind of pushing the button versus, like, to your point, like, what's still not reliable?
Yeah. Again, it's very easy to now build Alex and the equivalent of what we have. Companies are doing that. They're automating their sourcing, their outreach, and their engagement steps. And a lot of companies are automating their pre-screen or first round interview. And a lot of them are doing it with avatars, and that's what's quite frankly upsetting a lot of candidates because they don't feel like they're getting heard or listened to, or that the bot has the ability to converse in the same way, even though they look good and they're looking better every day, videos or sound. I think that that is actually the wrong thing for recruitment companies to do. I don't think we're there yet. Where I do think that AI is incredibly beneficial is in amplifying our human ability to see and analyze things. We leverage AI more as a co-pilot, if you will, to help us when we're out there sourcing, to help us analyze a profile, but we're making sure and enforcing the fact that our eyes are still looking through the entire LinkedIn profile. We're still looking at the context in which it's set. But AI, of course, is helping feed us that information and help us analyze that information in a faster way. Uh, Give the example, right? When we do either a job intake from a client, a company that comes to us and says we need to hire this person, or when we do a candidate intake, we have AI take the first cut at that. And so AI can go in and pull in the relevant information from the resume, it can pull in the relevant stuff from a job description, whatever side of the house we're on, and it can give us a framework to go and then have a guided conversation with that candidate or that client. I believe that that's a very powerful use of AI. It takes some of that basic legwork of pulling out the keywords and pulling out the things that we think are important. And by the way, that's hard skills, soft skills, and behavioral signals. So we can pull that data out of a resume or LinkedIn profile or whatever, but then we still have a human to human conversation to validate and verify and confirm those things. And I personally think that that's the proper use of AI. I'm going to use it to give me a starting point and to give me some guidance, but I'm still going to get on the phone or the video and sit here and have this face-to-face conversation and say, "Hey, I noticed this, courtesy of AI, putting it into my, my guided conversation structure, but I want to talk about this and I want to validate, how does this work with you and how does this mean? And how did you really use Python? Because it's only been a couple of years, or whatever it may be." I think that's the AI amplification of humans. I
Yep.
think it's very difficult to replace my, 25 years of recruitment experience and that ability to have seen people do great or not do great despite their experiences, the ability of to understand what a good culture-based hire is versus a bad culture-based hire and what that does to an organization, what it does to a person. AI doesn't have that, but it can help me see things in a different way.